Welcome to A Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Snav, and my pronouns are they, them.
And my name's Harmit, and my pronouns are Hershey, like the chocolate.
And this is A Feast for Crows, chapters 3 and 4, Cersei and Brienne. In these chapters, Cersei thinks she is the shit, but in fact, she is caught up in her family's shit. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. So, Harmith, who died in these chapters?
Well, we find out Tyrion died.
What?
What? Tywin.
Do we find? I feel like we knew.
No, sorry. Cersei finds out that Tywin died.
Okay.
I don't really remember anybody dying, to be honest. These chapters were pretty tame in terms of death.
That's true. I mean, we meet, Brienne meets a bunch of those people that are carrying the bones of their dead, so that's...
Right.
I mean, we know people been dying,
Some peeps dead. Some peeps deading.
Yeah. But they've been dead, so, yeah. Anyway, no active deaths in this episode, in these chapters. Okay. So, what did you think of these chapters of people we know but are new... It's new for us to be in their heads.
Yeah. Okay. Loved the new POVs. Loved that we got Cersei and Brienne.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that if these were POVs that we've had before, I'd be like, okay, this is a pretty tame, like, a little bit of, like, a more, like, low-key boring chapter.
Right.
But the interesting factor was the new people. So
yes.
I enjoyed that, but in terms of plot, I was like, okay, we done new. Like, let's go, you know?
Okay.
But it was fun to, like, being in Cersei's head was weird. I will say that. Just, like, I don't know, it's like so much ego, but also so much, like, it's like even in grief, she has ego, you know? And I think it's just a very interesting thing to see, because it's not like a Ned chapter where I'm just, like, standing every 2 seconds, but it's also not like a Theon chapter where I'm, like, literally get out of my face. Right. So it's, like, this weird where you're kind of, like, it's basically, like, if I had to describe my emotions while reading the chapter, it's just kind of, like, intrigue. Like, she's intriguing to be inside the head of, and that's kind of where I'm at. And then Brienne, I don't know, like, it was okay. I think I'll like other chapters more. I think just the fact that, like, not a lot was going on was kind of messing with me. And also, whenever she'd talk about, like, stuff, like, it was just kind of, like, sad, you know? So I think that kind of, like, what I'm trying to say is, like, obviously, I really like Brienne, but it was hard to be excited about the Brienne chapter, because it was either depressing or boring, depending on the moment. Okay. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was either, like, it was either, like, misogyny, or it was, like, okay, well, now we're just, like, walking, like, okay. So, I just didn't feel a lot of action, or, like, a lot of...
that's fair.
Yeah, but I am really happy that we do have Brienne chapters now, though. So it's not a knock on Brienne, it's just like, I was just kind of like, okay, let's, like, keep going, you know?
Right. I mean, third and fourth chapter, I don't know what you expect, but sure.
Hey, they set the stage, okay? The prologue first and second, or sorry, they didn't set the stage. Yeah, but
they were all new characters, so even if the plot, like, we knew Balon was dead, we knew, like, you know, Dorne's up to shit, like, it's really just the fact that they're new characters that was exciting.
I know, but it still was, like, cool.
All of like, area. The Dorne chapter is just him describing all the different people. Like, we meet all the people and we, like, get, like, what their vibe is.
But there were so many new people, and it was just cool.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, don't knock on what you know just because you know them.
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking on them. I'm just saying it was, like, boring because we didn't know anything. We didn't get anything new.
Cersei chapter was not boring. It is.
Cersei's just Cersei just is a character. I don't know how they can make a Cersei chapter boring, just because she's so, like, there's just so much going on in that head. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, well, why don't you put it into some words?
Expand on that. What's I really going on want in that to. Head? I don't, but okay.
I know you don't want to, but I need you to, because I don't want to influence what you say from what I say, so I need you to say the things to me before I say anything.
Okay, now I'm scared. Now I feel like I've forgotten what happened.
I don't want to impress my opinions on you, is what I'm saying.
Okay, cool. Okay. Now I'm scared. Now I'm gonna mess up.
Okay, you said she's egotistical. Yes. Very obvious.
Okay.
What else?
Oh, I thought this was summary.
No. I'm asking.
You just want my take before summary. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Misunderstood. That's why I kept being like, no, I don't want to give you my take. I'll give you my opinions. Take them for free. Like, Don't even, Okay,
give it.
So, like I said, it's like this weird, like, ego grief blend, but, like, also there's, like, it's like this weird, like, I don't think she loves her dad, but she, like, greatly admires him, and there's, like, the Lannister component of, like, this is, like, fucking Tywin Lannister, and this is what y'all are. So it's, like, this weird, like, it's just weird, because, like, we've had so many we've been in a lot of characters' heads when they've been grieving. That's basically these entire books. Bad things happen and then they grieve.
Yeah.
And I think
all
this
of Kaplan's chapters ever.
Yeah. And in some ways, this was the most tame, like, emotionally, but in other ways, it was, like, some of the most anger, and, like, she just channels things differently, and it was cool. And, yeah, I don't know specifically what you want me to say. Like,
no, I just want your take on her, because I find her a very fascinating character.
I agree, because it's, like, I think there's not a lot of people... I think there's not a lot of people that I can think of in my daily life who I know really well who are like Cersei. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's part of that is because you and I like to surround ourselves with genuinely good people. So I think that's kind of part of it, because at the end of the day, Cersei is not a genuine, like, kind, shining angel. Like, she's just not. So I think that's part of probably why we're fascinated, but I think also she's just, like, even just as a person, like, she just takes things weirdly. Like, you're kind of like, wow, you have interesting reactions and interesting priorities. Yeah. Yeah, but I think just because she was getting so much new information, I think it was hard to, like, I think there was just a lot of reaction going on in this chapter. So what I'm looking forward to is seeing more of her, like,
taking action
and, like, her scheming and plans.
Right.
And because there was only a little bit of that when she briefly was like, oh yeah, and then that hand made me do that, and that hand made me do that. And I think other than her listing that for us, we didn't really get an insight into, like, remember when I tried to poison this person and it didn't work? Like, do you know what I mean? So I think I'm excited to see more of her scheming side, because I think in this chapter things were just kind of happening to her and she was just kind of reacting, so we didn't get to see, like, totally how she thinks, but there was a bunch of hints, which was interesting, like, with her, like, just prioritizing, like, and, like, her denials of certain, like, it was cool. I don't want to, like, get too much into it because we've talked about this for a few minutes now, but know. But, like, it's interesting to see where she denies things, where she takes them too far, where she gets angry, where she, like, it's interesting to be in her head. Yes. Basically, is what I'll say.
It's not a very flat experience. There's lots of ups and downs.
Very dynamic, for sure.
Okay, this may be like a kind of not a spoiler per se, but I can't hold it in anymore. So I've held it in for 4 years. I have done my time.
She's the one? She's
my favorite POV.
She's the one? She's the one where you were like, you would never believe me?
Yes. No, she's not my favorite character. She's my favorite POV.
Yeah. She's the one where you were like, my favorite, like, POV that you would never believe.
No, that was when I said favorite characters.
That we still don't know yet?
Well, I haven't, Jamie was one of them, but I haven't told you who the other one is. Hers, like, questions when it comes up, like, who's your favorite POV in the books? She is my favorite POV in the books.
Okay, interesting. Oh, okay. That gets me excited because we basically have the same take on Jaime. So maybe this Lannister, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I'm not saying I like her. I am saying I like her POVs, okay?
No, that's what I'm saying. Same take, like on the POV.
Okay, cool. All right.
We'll see.
I'm gonna put that out there. I don't care.
I do like her POV. As of what I know right now, I don't know if she'll be my favorite because I think I'll just have a lot of moments of like, girl, what are you doing, basically. So I think sometimes with characters that stress me out, I don't like them the most. So right. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
So summary.
Oh god, I hate this. Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
She's having a nightmare. Tyrion's in it. Wakes up. Tywin's dead. She goes to see. Jaime is examining the secret tunnel. She's kind of worried about the tunnel. She's worried about Tyrion. Then eventually she finds out Tyrion escaped, but she kept trying to be like, no, he didn't. She denies the whole Shay thing. And then she basically is like, we need to dress him up better. We need to take care of him. What the fuck are you people doing? Why was I the last one informed? And then the end of the chapter is just basically her finding out that Tyrion has escaped and just being like, what the fuck? I think. Did anything else happen after that? No, she talks to Jaime and she's like, leave. Oh, who? Brienne. Okay, Brienne's on the road. She's looking for Sansa, as we know, but not having a lot of success. She's trying to head over to Duskendale now. She was just in...
Doesn't matter.
It's 5 letters, something.
I don't know.
Furby?
I don't even know.
I don't know. Okay, anyway, she was in a town that has 5 letters. She's traveling, has not had any success. She meets up with these people and she's traveling with them, and then just misogyny,
yeah,
then she leaves them.
You gotta stop.
Okay. Like, what was it? Furby?
I have no idea, because I didn't care. I didn't pay attention.
Rosby! Furby's a street in our city. That's what I'm thinking of. All right.
Okay. So, Cersei. She is asleep. She is dreaming that she dreamt she sat the Iron Throne high above them all. And if you need to know anything about Cersei, that sentence kind of says it all.
Literally, I read the first sentence and I was like, we're getting the real, this is real. This is real Cersei POV, if we had any doubt.
The courtiers were brightly colored mice below.
Wow, okay.
And she's just like, lording over them all until Tyrion appears and starts laughing at her because she is naked. And also then being engulfed by the Iron Throne, which intense. And everybody's laughing at her, and it's just, horrible. It's like one of those, like, walking... I've never had this kind of dream, like, you walk naked into school kind of thing, but apparently people have... It's, like, a common thing that people have.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's her version of that, I guess.
Basically.
But then she's woken by her maid, and she realizes there's a whole bunch of people around, and she's like, oh, something's going on. It's not good. And they're like telling her. But
okay, so like up until this, so I guess I'm just wondering, like, going back to the dream, like, we know she's hated Tyrion since he was born. Because, air quotes, he killed her mom.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's okay, so from my understanding, she's hated him since then, always been mean, never been a good sister, or frankly a good person to him ever, right?
Yeah.
And then ever since he came to King's Landing and he's been disrupting her plans, it's obviously gotten worse and worse up until, air quotes again, he killed Joffrey. So now it's just like, okay, like, full on, like, hate.
Yes.
So, this nightmare... So, he killed Joffrey, terrified, killed my poor son? Nightmare? Like, so is that the nightmare
Like,
fuel?
why is she having nightmares about Tyrion?
Yeah, or is this, like, a weird, like, premonition type dream where, like, she just knew that, like...
That somebody was getting hurt by Tyrion?
Yeah, like, some sort of, like, like, she's kind of, like, in the dream, she's kind of being, like, emotionally dethroned, and then, like, in real life, it's, like, like, is she, like, what is this? Is this a fear dream? Is this, like, a George R. R. Martin being like, haha, the character done new, you know? Is this because of that, like, little, I'm using, like, weird, like, slang today. Ignore it, okay? I'm really tired. Or is it kind of, like, because I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but at the end of the chapter, we know that there's some sort of, like, her life was, like, there was some sort of doom prophecy or something. So is this, she's been having these dreams since the prophecy? Like, I wonder if it's the prophecy or if it was specifically Joffrey. So I'm just putting that out there. I'm just putting my musings
Maybe it's
out
a
into
culmination.
The world. It probably is. Girls, from the way she deals with her father's death, you can tell she just takes the trauma and turns it into anger and moves on, you know? So maybe she just hasn't dealt with it. Now it's coming up, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Well, we will talk more about that in a little bit.
Yes. Okay.
So she's woken up and everybody's telling her dad's dead, and she's like, wait, what is happening right now? I feel like this nightmare that I was having is, like, continued into real life.
So true.
So
I really liked, sorry, this is a weird comment, but I really liked how it was written, where, like, we didn't hear them telling her specifically, like, oh, your dad is dead, but we experienced it because of, like, the dream, and then her being, like, the name. Like, I just really liked, like, finding a way to not say, like, your dad's dead, because once again, we already know it. So I like when they do it in, like, creative ways. Anyway, continue.
Yes. She's just, she gets dressed, and she's like, okay, I guess, I gotta go. Also, where's Jaime? So this is where she learns that he's gone down the tunnel, the secret passage, which I'm like, Tyrion, you just left that shit open? Like, you couldn't have just, like, closed it real quick?
I think
maybe there would have been, like, footsteps, like, leading to and from it. I don't know, but, like,
there was a lot of emotions going on. I think he wanted to be, like, not wanted to be found, but wanted them to know.
No, it
like,
was him.
It was him, and, like, yeah, you know, like, he wanted to
leave
his mark.
I agree with you. It was just, like, a thought I had while I was reading. I was like, oh, that door's just open.
Yeah, because I don't think he cares about protecting Varys' secret tunnels, you know? So.
Right. So then she's like, okay, so Jaime's not here, and who the hell is with Tommen? And she finds out it's Loras, and she is unhappy about that because she does not have a good opinion of the Tyrells. She calls them up-jumped and says their vanity was exceeded only by their ambition, which...
Look who is talking!
And she's like, well, like, this whole time, she's suspecting everyone. She's like, it could be the Tyrells that did this, or it could be Stannis that did it, or it could be, like, Varys who did it. Like, you know? Everybody that she kind of thinks about, she kind of assigns blame to at some point. So then she tells Boros to go and, like, check on Tyrion, which, like, she's the first one to do that. I guess it makes sense that Jaime wouldn't do it because he already knows Tyrion's not there. And, you know,
yeah.
But maybe to cover his tracks, he should have gone ahead and done it.
Yeah.
And so he goes on his way, and then she gets up and out of the castle. The Maegors hold fast. And yeah, as she's walking over, she's just thinking about, like, who could have done this? It could have been Stannis, but I'm not scared of Stannis or of Mace Tyrell. I am now the Lady of Casterly Rock. They can't touch me. Like, this is basically her inner thoughts so far.
Yeah.
And then she finally gets to the Tower of the Hand, and she's like, okay, no one's to enter or leave without my permission, she told them. The command came easily to her. My father had steel in his voice as well. So she's, like, comparing herself to Tywin. What do you think of that comparison?
I mean... Yeah, like, sure. I don't agree with her. Like, are you asking me to be like...
Yeah,
I don't know
do
what
you
you're
think
asking.
she is like Tywin in her commanding manners? Okay.
No.
In which ways does she differ?
I just think that, like, Tywin is, like, I think with Tywin's history, And his presence. I think she could have the presence, but she definitely doesn't have. She's a woman, so even if she has the same level of, like, confidence and shit, like...
Competence,
Competence, competence, like, it's gonna be,
people aren't gonna respect her as much,
yeah, so she has to, almost compensate for that, too, like,
Outdo him,
which I don't know if she does, I don't really have an opinion on that, but in terms of history, like, she does not have the history that he has. So I don't think that, like, her walking into the room has the same impact.
Yeah, there's no song about her tearing down a castle.
And that's not, exactly. And that's not shade to her. That's just Tywin's been around, and there's a reason he was Hand for so many years. There's a reason he's been able to build his empire in that way, because what he does is very effective. And with the limited times that we've seen her do things, haven't been the best plans. And... like, I'm sure she's had good ideas, but I think her good ideas she hasn't been able to implement, and the few ideas that we have seen implemented haven't been good. So
speech at the Battle of Blackwater that she's giving to Sansa, when you were like, oh, she's telling her such good advice, and then she turns, like, takes a total turn, and it's literally like, oh, never mind.
So I think even with this, like, wow, I have the steel in my voice, I think sometimes when it comes to people with big egos, sometimes it's just about talking the talk and not walking the walk. So, yeah. I don't know. That's
also,
what I'm
in this moment, unknowingly to herself, she is kind of making a little bit of a fool of herself, because she's literally the last to arrive on the scene.
Exactly. And she's like, do this, don't do this, do this.
But I guess we can't count that against her, because she doesn't know.
Totally.
But, like, it does just sucks show that not every... like, people don't respect her as much as she thinks they do.
Totally. And I just wanted to, so just at, like, up until this point, there's been, like, a few lines. So she, at one point says, like, the bright star of the west has fallen, and the nights will be darker now, like, when she's looking at the sky.
Yeah.
And then she says, like, she's thinking about when she was a kid and, like, losing her first tooth, and she's describing this loss of Tywin as, like, losing a tooth for the first time as a kid, and then kind of feeling like your tongue keeps gliding over that hole in your mouth because it just feels so weird. And I really loved this analogy for how Cersei's feeling.
Yeah.
It just made so much sense to me. And
that there should be something there, but it's missing.
Yeah, and now it's like she's just overcompensating to try and be like, okay, so, like, do I get a fake tooth in there? Do I, like, just live with this hole? Like, do you know what I mean? She's trying to do all these things, but it's like, girl, maybe we just, like, let it be, and maybe
why don't you feel your feelings for a second? Yeah.
Right? Like, so I loved this analogy. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. Because this is so different than, like, I don't know if any other character would describe losing their father as a tooth, because I think it also really works because your teeth are, like, you know, you kind of take them for granted. And if you have a father like Tywin, who's so, like, almost, like, all-powerful in a way, you're not gonna be, like, she even says several times, like, when she's trying to think about who could have done this, she's like, it had to be multiple people. It had to be a force of people.
Yeah, because one person can't take him down.
Yeah, and so I think it's the same thing with, like, when you're a kid and, like, you're not like, oh, I'm gonna lose my fucking teeth, you know? So I don't know, right. I really liked it. So I think those kind of give us a good sense, too, of, like, Miss Girl is not grieving. She's just kind of like, wow, it's like, you know what it's kind of like? It's like when a celebrity dies that people know isn't, like, a super kind person, but is an iconic person, and you're kind of like, wow, like, that celebrity died, like, but they're such, like, an icon, because you don't really think of them as a person, you think of them as an idol. So it's almost like this isn't her dad dying. This is someone who she looks up to, who she's very removed from dying. Because she's like, oh, I thought they'd always be a force in Westeros. Do you know what I mean? It's like her being like, wow, like, Prince died, like, that sort of thing. Anyway, so it's like, we already knew it wasn't a very good father-daughter relationship, but this just kind of gives even more to that.
Although Prince, I think, was a good person and not
I don't know. Sorry, yeah.
The Tywins of the world.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Prince. I just know his music and it's good. I don't know if he was a good person. I just used that example because I remember, like, that was the death where a lot of people that I knew were, like, really, like, affected by it, and, like, I heard a lot of this type of conversation about it, where people were like, oh my god, like, he's been around since I was 4, he's been around since I was 5,
Yeah.
And, like, so that's why I thought of it, not because I think he's a bad person, I don't know what he's like.
No, makes sense. Okay, so she finally gets to the tower, and she's looking at, like, everybody, and just, like, flapping their mouths, and she's not, like, really hearing them.
Yeah.
And she's mad because she can tell that everybody has been here except her. And, you know, I'm with her on that. Like, y'all gotta inform her.
Yeah, I don't really
like, I get
them.
getting Jaime first because he's, like, commander of the Kingsguard. That part makes sense, but also she's his daughter, his heir, the Queen Regent, like...
Yeah.
Y'all are doing her wrong. So then she tells them to get the fuck out of her face, and she goes into the room where Tywin has been brought to the bed from the toilet, and she sees the secret door, and then she finally looks at the bed, and she's like, it says, for a moment she did not recognize the dead man. He had hair like her father, yes, but this was some other man, surely a smaller man and much older.
Yeah.
Like, all the whatever Tywin about him has left him.
Yeah.
And also he's lying there literally naked with a bolt in his, like, pelvic, is it say pelvic area or pubic area? I don't know. Just...
Yeah, basically, yeah, like that pubic pelvic area, basically.
Yeah, so it's not a good scene, and they haven't even covered him up. Like, what are y'all doing here?
Yeah, it makes no sense. And, like, Kevin's there.
Yeah,
I felt so... this was the saddest. I was like, oh, because he was, like, in love with his brother. Like, it's just... I felt really bad for him. I was like, oh, homie. Ugh.
Yeah, and she's like... It smells real bad. And also... she's like, why haven't... Take care of him. Like, what is going on? Get that coral out of him and cover him up and clean him up and get him ready. All of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then she's, like, thinking back to when her grandfather died, and, like, how Tywin wasn't really present when she was a young kid.
Yeah.
And she wonders whether Tywin cried when her dad died, because she doesn't feel much like crying right now.
She's like, I don't even know what, like, would he want me to, like, scream? Like,
Yeah.
cry? Like, would he want me to care? Would he, like, yeah, because, again, like, I don't think she really knew her dad, you know? He was always a figure, not a dad, you know?
Yeah. And he always kind of, like,
bitchy.
I think people say that he served, like, the Lannister name more than the Lannister family. Like, he didn't care much about his family as much as he cared about the name and whatever surrounded that. So he would just, like, give them orders, like ordering her to marry Robert, or then ordering her to like marry another person later. Like, it's all just sucky. So she's like, where's, like, Pycelle, where he should be here taking care of this. Apparently he's been here and gone, not having dirtied his own hands, and, like, he's gone to get the Silent Sisters. So then she's like, find another maester. Like, get going on this. Pycelle's not the only one around. And she's like, he's useless. She says about the man, yes, but she says about the man that she, like, had freed from the dungeons. Remember when Tyrion cut his hair and then put him in the dungeons? And Cersei was real mad about that. Like, if he's useless, why did you care about that so much? Or was it just because Tyrion did it to spite you that you cared about it?
Basically. I think that, but I think also because, like, I think to her it's like, well, Pycelle's just a vote that I have on the council, you know? Like, so, like, I think she always knew he was useless. He wasn't too good at his job, but she didn't really care.
She's only thinking about how he's useful to her, I guess.
Exactly. Like, she's like, oh, if I need an actual maester, I can use someone else, but I just need him for the power that he holds. So I think she always knew, but, like, it didn't matter to her that it was useless. In fact, it was useful to her that he was useless.
Right, I guess. That makes sense. Then there's also, so she learns that Jaime's gone down the shaft and like investigating wherever it leads, and she's like, why is he doing this? Her twin had always been too rash, and it would seem that even losing a hand had not taught him caution. Yeah, you know what? That's fair, I think. Just because literally, Jaime, anything could be down there.
Yeah.
And you're climbing down like some real questionable ladders into the unknown. Maybe think about it for a second.
So true.
But I guess he has to do something because he probably has figured out that he's, adjacently responsible for this.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. As she's looking after him, Qyburn arrives. Do you remember this guy?
I do now.
Okay, well, he's also, in the prologue when we were talking about Marvin the Mage, he's one of the ones who brought up Marvin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Qyburn was, relieved of his chain for reasons that we don't really know. But, it has to do with whatever kind of stuff he was working on. And apparently the mage was the only one who...
there?
He would have been there where?
Old Town.
Yeah.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
Like, every maester has to, like, study there and whatever.
Yeah.
So then he's like, okay, I will come and take care of Tywin, but what do you want me to do with the girl? And Cersei, till this point, has not even noticed. It says she had overlooked the second body. How do you overlook a whole ass corpse?
I don't even know. Literally, what?
Yeah, so it's like it doesn't fit her narrative, so she just doesn't pay attention to it. It's like very selective perspective.
Oh, totally. Yeah. She sees the door and she's like, wow, Tyrion's one of the only people who could, like, actually really fit in there. No, it's fine. The Tyrells planned it. Like, she's so focused on what she wants to believe, and yeah.
Yeah. So then she looks at Shay and is like, oh, first off, she isn't here. And my father had no use for sex workers, and also he had this whole history of being against sex workers, so obviously he can't have been using the services of a sex worker. She was here for some other purpose. And then Qyburn is quick to be like, oh, maybe he was questioning her. And she's like, yes, exactly. But then, like, as a side note in her own head, she's like, yeah, questioning her naked. That's exactly what Tyrion would say. So it's, may I suggest the word Delulu for our girl Cersei?
That's a pretty good description, I would say.
Yeah, so she's like, she's not here. No one should ever know she was here. I will cut out their tongues if they say she was here. That's like her whole thing. And then she actually thinks back to the last time she saw Shay, which was after Tyrion's like initial trial, before the trial by combat. And Shay was asking for the jewels that Tyrion had given her, as well as promises Cersei might have made.
Oh my god.
So now we know why she done that.
That's so...
like, we knew, but now we know.
No, now we know that it was... Yeah, I hate that.
But, so, okay, so Shay testified against Tyrion for these promises, but then Cersei said she won't give her anything until she tells them where Sansa is. Like, Cersei totally backed off on her promise.
Yeah, that's very shitty, for sure.
And totally goes against the Lannister pays their debts motive.
Yeah.
Not motive,
I think...
What's the word I'm like?
Promise, or...
No. Motto?
Yeah.
That's the word. I don't know why I turned it to motive.
Yeah, I think, because maybe we know she's Delulu and she just justifies whatever. I feel like she would probably be like, oh, well, I only owe it to you if you actually finish, like, the service that you were giving me, which was telling me the truth. And, like, because she hasn't told the truth about Sansa, which she obviously knows, right? So I think she's like, oh, well, you haven't told me the full truth, so it doesn't count.
Yeah, I guess.
Which I don't agree with, but I think that's her justification.
Yes, she will justify anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, get her body out of here. And it's the Kettle Blacks are there. And so they pick her, like, wrap her up and pick up the body. And they're about to head out when she's like, no, go through the secret tunnel. Which I'm like, first, okay, hang on. That's a logistical nightmare. No?
Yeah. Yeah.
And also they don't know where these tunnels lead to. So she's like, there's a tunnel to the dungeons. Go there. But, like, where in the dungeons? It's just...
She's like, figure it out. I don't care.
Right. That was just something that struck me as
totally
notable. But the point is that they go to the secret way so that people won't see this body. That's the point. Mm-hmm. Now, this is when, as they're about to go down the hearth into the tunnel, Jaime comes up. And she's like, oh, did you find the killers? How many were there? First off, would he be here if there were killers there? But doesn't matter. And he's like, yeah, there's no one there. The shaft goes down to a chamber where there's, like, a bunch of different entrances, and I gotta find keys. To which I'm like, dude, just break the locks. Why do you need keys?
Oh my god. Yeah.
But he says whoever did this might still be lurking in the walls, which is intense. And then she imagines Tyrion creeping between the walls like a monstrous rat.
Yeah.
And then so Jaime hugs her and is like, she wants to be like, I want to kiss him, but she's like, no, not right now. We gotta keep the... What is the...
facade.
The facade, exactly. Later. He will come to me for comfort later.
Why do not they both have this
we will
weird...
comfort each other later.
Why are they both so... Why does George R. R. Martin always phrase it in this way? Both POVs now, it's always like...
Well, I feel like it shows a more emotional vulnerability on Jaime's part than Cersei's, like, in their relationship.
Like with...
That he goes to her for... What do you mean?
Because I remember because what I'm thinking of is... Because I remember in Jaime's POV, him being like... Wait, does he say she doesn't come to me? She lets me come?
He says I always go to her. He doesn't.
I thought it was the opposite. That's why I got confused. I was like, why are they both claiming it's the other? That's what...
No. He says, I always go to her. She never comes to me.
Okay. I had the opposite in mind. Okay. Interesting. I mean, It fits in line with their characters, but...
I mean, we'll probably hear more about this later, but, like, their relationship, I mean, other than the obvious reasons, has real, like, signs of being an abusive relationship, and as in Cersei abusing Jaime.
Okay.
Just, like, yeah. So, you know, like, he relies on her, and she keeps him at a distance and only goes to him for when she needs things and all of those things, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So then she's like, okay, we're his heirs. We gotta take on his legacy. Now you have to take his place as hand. And he pushes her away and is like, a hand without a hand? A bad jape, sister. Don't ask me to rule. Which everybody in the room hears. And she's like, oh, you embarrassed me? How dare? And then she's like, rule? I ain't asking you to rule. I'm gonna rule.
Oh my god, Cersei.
And then Jaime says, I don't know who I pity more, Tommen or the Seven Kingdoms.
Ooh.
He just out there said that shit.
Burn!
But she does slap him, and it's just like,
what the fuck?
Kevin is there, and he's like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Your dad's dead right there. Can you at least fight outside?
Yeah.
And then Jaime's like, oh, forgive us, uncle. My sister is sick with grief. She forgets herself. And she wants to slap him again for that, for speaking on her behalf, which, You know what? That one I'll give it to her. And I also give her the first one, but I don't think that Jaime's might be... I don't know if Jaime's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, in that case.
Yeah.
Like, it's a rude thing to say, so I get why she slapped him, but... Yeah. Guess you have to prove him wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, she's like, you know what? Maybe I don't need to have a hand. Who needs a hand anyway? I've got 2 hands, and that's plenty as it is.
Hands be ruining my life since day one.
Yeah, since 1999. Because John Aaron, like, arranged her marriage with Robert, and then Ned started poking around about her and Jaime, and Tyrion was a pain in her ass, and also when Tywin returned to King's Landing, and it just kind of trails off. But the next sentence is, the next hand will know his place, meaning that when he returned to King's Landing, he took over and left her with no power.
Mm-hmm.
So then she's
So
like, okay,
true.
well, I guess it's gotta be Sir Kevin. He's always been, tireless, prudent, unfailingly obedient. And, she needs something that will obey her, like he had her father. And she says, no, she thinks she had a realm to rule, but she would need new men to help her rule it. So she's already thinking about everybody and how she's going to get rid of them and who she might potentially replace them with, which is a lot of thinking happening. I'm an overthinker, so it makes sense that she, I get the overthinking pathways, but this is a lot happening right now,
Yeah, it's like, girl, your father just died. Let's take a breath.
Yeah. Do you think Kevin would agree to be her hand?
You can't really say no, right? Like, it would be like,
you
really
can say
rude.
no at, risking the wrath of the king,
I think he would say yes, but, not really want to do it, at all.
Okay.
So I don't think he would be, as, I think he'd be like, your father wouldn't do that. Your father, I think he'll be the one where she's just, constantly mad because he's just comparing her to
He's
his
trying
dad.
to be the voice of Tywin, and she's like, he dead now?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. And then she's also, thinking about, all Tyrell and his people on the council. Do you think she'll get rid of them? How will they feel about that?
Not great. I don't... sometimes Cersei doesn't do the best plans. Sometimes she just kind of does what she wants. So I think she'll probably maybe have, an unsuccessful attempt at getting rid of them. But they're too powerful for her to completely control.
Right.
In that way. So I think if she's gonna have, a smart move, she might just, not necessarily get rid of them, but just, try to kind of control, maybe...
how much influence they have.
Yeah. And, maybe, do something that lowers their credibility instead of taking them off the council.
Like what?
Okay.
I
don't know.
Lower their...
I don't know. But maybe I have no idea. But if she could think of something like that, I think that would be it's better to go about it in that way and then kind of save face with them so that they're still publicly allies,
Right. Okay. Yeah, she does think that she needs to move carefully with the Tyrells because they've got a lot of influence.
Yeah, so I'm glad that she's considering that.
Mm-hmm. And then she's like, okay, I'm gonna get Varys to figure out what's going on there. But oh no, hang on. She's thinking about Marjorie and how now she has been kind of betrothed to Tommen, and that her dad insists that she's a virgin, but who knows? And she acknowledges that Renly was gay, but then she's like, he doesn't have to be gay.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, but who can resist a woman, right?
Anyway, so then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna get Varys to figure out what he can on that. And then she's like, wait a second, Varys, where he at? He should have been all up in this business, and he is nowhere to be seen. So, yeah, she sends Meryn Trant to bring her Varys, and what do you think? Will Varys be found?
Maybe not. Because the thing is, Kate, Cersei's the last to find out.
Because that okay, say he's found. How does he cover for the fact that he didn't show up for this big event?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So I think it's one of those things where, like...
And the fact that his tunnels were used, too.
Yeah, so all of that, like, I think he would need a very good explanation. And I don't think that this has set him up. Like, I don't think, and especially with, like, we've never seen this from him, and we've been following this story for, like, 3 completed books now. So I think this is some sort of, like, he either wasn't able to show up, or he's fully choosing to not show up.
Like, he's booked it and he's not going to be found kind of thing?
Yeah. Or, like, maybe Tyrion did something.
But then how did Tyrion get away? Because Varys was his way to get away.
Maybe it was like, I'll shoot you with this arrow right now if you don't keep showing me the way.
So show me the way, and then once I have the way, you're dead?
If I don't have the way, you're dead. And then I don't know what happens at the end. Like, maybe it's like he shoots him anyway. Maybe it's like maybe he's going rogue and we're just shooting everyone now. Or maybe he's like, okay, you have connections. Now you have to come with me or else I'm going to kill you. So he uses him to, like, get around. Maybe, right. I don't know. Or maybe he's, I'm not sure, but maybe that's a part of it. Or maybe Varys is like, well, fuck, all roads point back to me. What do I do? You know? And maybe now he's trying to think up a really good excuse to make his way back. Or maybe he just goes over to his fellow retired buddy Illyrio and just, like, hangs out, you know? Like, I don't know what he's gonna... That, to me, is, like, the least likely, because seems like a pretty ambitious man who thinks he's doing what he's doing for the realm. Yeah, that he wouldn't
just give up on all of King's Landing just for this. Yeah.
So I think he's either plotting or unable to, or, like, delayed in some way for those reasons.
Sounds good. Okay, so then, after she sends Trant on his way, Boros comes back running because Tyrion is not in his cell, and one of the jailers is missing, and the other 2 are sound asleep. And she's like, oh, I hope you didn't wake them. And he's like, what? Let them sleep? What do you mean? And she's like, forever. Let them sleep forever. Kill them. KILLMURDER. Just, anyway.
Wow. Let's just kill them. Great idea, Cersei.
But also, Cersei, they could have evidence, like, to help you. Maybe question them before you kill them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, probably. That's probably a better idea.
It's a little lack of foresight there. Mm-hmm. But then she's like, oh my god, he's in the walls. The dwarf would come for her as well, the queen knew, just as the old woman had promised her in the dimness of that tent. I laughed in her face, but she had powers. I saw my future in a drop of blood. My doom.
Ooh.
So, apparently some woman told her that Tyrion would come for her. We don't know at what point the woman was in a tent. She had powers. There was a blood involved. Mm-hmm. Interesting. And then, like, Boros is trying to comfort her, and she's like, get the fuck away from me. And he's like, can I get you some water? And she's like, no, I need blood. Tyrion's blood. The blood of the Valonqar. So, previously in the chapter also, she calls him the Valonqar, so we don't know what that means, but seems significant. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I don't know.
But, like, give me anything.
Okay.
Like, what did you get from it? Or what do you think it means? Or what could it mean? Or what do you want it to mean? Just anything.
Is this not a word in real life?
No.
Oh. Okay.
So don't go Googling this shit.
Thank God I didn't. Because I totally would have. I don't know why I didn't.
Okay, yeah, don't Google words from now on. Just ask me.
But sometimes I just don't know some of the big words.
Okay. Well,
because sometimes it'll be stuff
if they start with a V, never Google the word.
Because sometimes it'll be like parts of an arrow or like a drawstring or like something where I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
I totally would have Googled this word, so I don't know. I just luckily didn't.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
You know what? I kind of had a paranoia about that, but then I also remembered you not knowing seneschal, so I was like, well, she didn't Google that, so maybe this is fine.
No,
but that was before.
If I'm reading quickly, I just like, I'm like, oh, I'll do it after, and then I just don't. I think sometimes if I have enough context to feel like I don't have to Google, because I didn't pick up on this being like an important word. I was like, oh yeah, she's just like, he's my doom, moving on. So I think I just kind of moved on
this is a word that does not exist out of A Song of Ice and Fire.
It's an important word, did not register. Okay, I'm gonna give you my thoughts and then we can come back to this word specifically.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. So, okay, wait, sorry. Brain. Okay, yeah. Okay, I just have one unrelated thought, and we can go back to related. So, unrelated thought. So, Jaime, like, kind of knows what's going on. Obviously, more than Cersei. He knows, like, okay, I told him that, and then he went rogue, you know?
Yes. Wait.
Tyrion went rogue. After
Sorry, say that the beginning of that sentence.
Okay. So, Jaime's thinking, oh, I told Tyrion that, and then he went rogue.
Yes. I mean, probably. We don't know for a fact, but it's a
Jaime can probably put that
assumption.
Together,
yeah.
Right? And he had an interaction with Cersei. Obviously, there was a bunch of other people in the room, but he didn't tell her anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder how that goes. Like,
will he tell her?
Will he tell her? Will she ever find out? Like, I definitely don't see him telling her, because she's fully like, he did it. And especially, I know we kind of talked about it a bit, like, I was like, no, he's gonna know that Tyrion was lying, like, and like, we kind of talked about how, like, okay, but Tyrion literally told him that he did it, and he tried to convince him, you know, out of, like, spite. So, especially if he now thinks that Tyrion did do it, and he's like, well, fuck, you know? But yeah. I don't think that way.
I mean, even if he didn't kill Joffrey, he very probably killed Tywin.
Oh, totally. But I think but still, like, it's still different than, like, he'd already killed someone and I let him out. Do you know?
Right.
Like, that's different than I let him out and then our conversation got bad and then he killed someone. Like, that's different. At least in that case, his, like, intentions were in the right place. Like, Tyrion didn't actually kill him, you know? Kill Joffrey. So, I just wonder how that's gonna go. Because I wonder...
give me a guess. Does he tell her or no? Yes,
he definitely doesn't tell her.
Okay, but she may find out anyway,
which
through
would
a different
be really
way.
Bad.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, that's basically my thought. Moving on to the thoughts about this whole, like, prophecy, weird blood drop looking thing. Okay, question first.
Okay.
Have we had, other than the leeches, like, bullshit, have we had, like, blood magic? Like, magic specifically about
Dany's, like, her bringing her dragons to life was a type of blood magic. Like, she sacrificed Drogo and the Magi and...
Yes, okay.
Like, all of that. Like,
okay. But other than that, we haven't had... Because everything else has kind of been, like, prophecies, or, like, when she was in the House of the... No, I was going to say House of the Dragon.
House of the Undying, yeah.
The House of the Undying. Because I don't remember anything else being blood, right? So maybe this could be, like, a new something that we haven't seen, like, some sort of, like...
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, if in the North with the, like, practice. Old gods we've had death in any way. I can't remember. At least, like, yeah, no, I don't think we've heard of anything like that so far.
Okay, so some form of thing that we haven't heard of. Okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify, because I was like, is there a connection I'm missing or anything? Okay, so from this whole prophecy thing, what I'm getting is, like, so Tyrion's gonna come for her now, in her mind, in this prophecy. So I wonder, like, because we don't know... Obviously, she doesn't outline her encounter with this lady for her.
Right.
So we don't know if it was, like, the prophecy was, like, she's looking at the blood and she sees, like, her brother, like, killing her head. Or, like, her brother in different...
killing her head?
Sorry, like, taking off her head. We don't know if she sees, like, her brother, like, killing people. We don't know if she just sees her brother, and then the lady interprets for her and is like, your brother's gonna ruin your life.
Right.
So we just don't know what it is. So I don't know I don't know how to interpret this, and I think some of the things I'm thinking of is like, okay, so it could be he physically murders Cersei.
Right.
Which is totally possible. With Tyrion's last chapter, we know he was like, I'm out for my family. I'm out to get him, you know? So I wouldn't put murdering Cersei past him, you know?
Right.
But I think it could also just be like, because, you know, she holds her position and her children and all of these things at a very high level too. So maybe ruining her life could just be ruining everything around her. It doesn't necessarily, like, she's dramatic enough that that's the doom without actually having to kill her.
Yeah, and maybe it's both.
Yeah, and maybe because we also don't know how long ago this, like, encounter with the blood was.
Right, we have no idea.
If this was, like, before he showed up to be, I don't think it was, but I'm just putting it out there. If it was before he showed up to be Hand, then it's, like, it makes sense that as soon as he shows up, every single thing she's doing, she's going against it, because he's like, everything he does is my doom. Everything he does is my doom. And slowly it's been accelerating and building up, right?
Right.
So we don't know if that's the so I don't know, but I don't personally subscribe to that. I think it's more like maybe Joffrey died, like she was feeling desperate, she goes to someone or something, like, or maybe when he was Hand and she was sneaking around a lot. I think that's probably the most probable. Yeah. Because since Joffrey died, she hasn't had a lot of time to, like, go to a lady in a tent, you know? I feel like we haven't heard of her being missing.
There's also, like, the she talks about how, like, when she heard this, she laughed in her face. And it's possible that, like, initially she discounted it, but as things have progressed and, like, Tyrion has opposed her, she's become more and more convinced in this.
Right. Maybe.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. But it also could have been more, like, I know the sentence is structured very much in a, because it says the dwarf would come for her as well. The queen knew, just as the old woman had promised her in the dimness of that tent. So I guess it does specifically say that, like, the blood thing did point to Tyrion. It wasn't more vague than that. Because I was thinking maybe it was something more vague where it was like, your own blood will betray you, or something.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? But I think the sentence kind of
I guess we need the text of the prophecy before we can...
because I think George R.R. Martin wrote it in a way that leads us to believe that it specifically was, like, specified that it was related to Tyrion, but I think we just don't know, because this... Yeah,
and this is, like, Cersei's perspective and her take on it. How does she interpret it? Yeah.
So we just don't know, so I also don't want to completely be like, she knew it was about Tyrion, you know? So either way, I'm just like, girl, where was this? Where was this from? We need more specifics.
Give me the tea.
Exactly. Because I'm like, if it was a long time ago, then maybe the Tyrion hate has, like, an extra, like, facet to it of, like, why it's actually, you know, like, if this was, like, years ago, then it kind of makes more sense of why she's also hated Tyrion her whole life, like, increasingly so, too.
Right.
So, and why, like, do you remember at Winterfell when she was like, sometimes I wonder if you're even on our family's side?
Jamie said that to Tyrion.
Oh, never mind. Ignore me. I literally thought that was Cersei. So I don't know. Like, I just feel like we need more details, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would love the deets. Okay. Quick prediction questions. Okay. Will they find Tyrion? Just say yes or no.
No.
Will they find Varys?
No.
Will she be able to rule the way she wants?
No.
So people are going to intercept and, like, undo her plans or mess with her plans or whatever.
100%.
Okay. Will she be a good ruler in whatever capacity she's allowed?
She'll be okay.
All right. Do I have any other questions? Are Tommen and Marjorie still gonna get married? Like, they're already engaged.
I think so, but I worry because weddings, you know, we don't have the best track record.
True.
For now, I'm gonna say yes.
Cool. Just marrying off a little baby. Okay.
Let's go.
I don't think I have any other questions, so let's move on to Brienne.
Okay.
her chapter starts with, I'm looking for a maid of 3 and 10. A highborn maid and very beautiful, with blue eyes and auburn hair. She may have been traveling with a portly knight of 40 years, or perhaps with a fool. Have you seen her? And this is like a repetition throughout the chapter. So I like that it began with that, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
And
how
she's
subtle,
like going
Brienne.
around. Yeah, she's at Rosby, and she's going around asking everybody, like, what's going on? Have y'all seen her? And nope, everybody's like, no, sir. No, thank you. And I don't know if just like nobody's seen her. I mean, she's not been here. We know that for a fact. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
They'd be lying if they said.
So immediately she's on a false track, but she's doing her best, you know?
And she's thinking about, like, when she was back at King's Landing, and she's like, I'd lingered too long and learned too little.
Yeah. There's, like, throughout the chapter, like, things of, like, explanations of her deductive reasoning. She's like, okay, she can't be in King's Landing, because if she was, they would have found her. So she must have gone elsewhere. But then she's like, she has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So then she might just be in the next town over, or maybe on a ship to Ashai. Like, who knows? Like, she could be anywhere in the world at this point.
Yeah.
And she remembers, like, asking around at the docks to see if there were any ships around that night. And everybody's like, no, the bay's, the river is a mess. There were no ships here. But there were a couple ships out in the bay unloading. And we know that, you know,
some
Littlefinger ship was one of them. Yeah. But they tell her that all the ships are going to Duskendale, so it makes sense that she's heading to Duskendale, because Sansa could have ported a ship there. So as she's going on her way up the road, she comes across some people, and, you know, she asks them what they're up, like, how they are, if they've seen Sansa, how the roads are, and apparently the roads are safe up to Duskendale, but then after that, it's a little it's unclear. There's outlaws and broken men in the woods. And she's looking around herself, and I just like, she's noting that the trees, other than the evergreen trees, the trees are losing their leaves and, like, turning color, so, like, it's a very clear indication of autumn, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we got that bird way back at the beginning of book 2, I think, where it was like, autumn has begun, but now finally
it is autumn.
See it in nature, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Which means winter is coming.
No!
Yeah, and then, like, at a point, she has, like, doubts about whether Jaime just sent her on a fool's errand, because maybe it's just a way to hide the fact that Sansa's really dead. But then she's like, no, Jaime's not gonna do that. He's sincere. He gave me the sword, and he called it Oathkeeper.
Aww.
Yeah. So...
And he tells her how the fake Arya is a fraud.
Yes, he did tell her that. And we were there when he told her that, so...
Oh, I don't remember
like,
that?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, don't go after her. That's, like, no, not useful at all. So she's like, okay, that leaves Sansa. And then, so she's, once again, just continuing on the road, and it's around dusk when she comes by a campfire with 2 hedge knights, and their names are...
Crichton and Illifer.
Yes, Sir Crichton and Sir Illifer. And they're nice people. Like, she asked them her regular question. They haven't seen Sansa. And they're like, okay, come have a meal with us. It's all cool. And she keeps saying that it's my sister. Like, that's her cover for looking for Sansa.
Yeah.
And she finds out that they're also going to Duskendale, and they insist on joining her. And, you know, it's the knightly chivalrous thing to do and whatnot.
Yeah.
So she, like, decides to hang out with them. And so they talk for a little bit, but Sir Illifer notices her shield, which has a black bat on a field divided bendwise silver and gold, which is a shield, like, sigil of the Lothstons of Harrenhal, who apparently have a bad rep. Like, we don't know much about them, but they had a bad rep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shield that Jaime, like, took from Harrenhal, so Brienne just kind of, like, went with it.
Mm-hmm.
But through this, Sir Illifer is able to put together, like, with her appearance, that she's trying to hide her identity, that this is Brienne of Tarth, who killed Renly. And she's like, no, that's a lie. And then we immediately plunge into her first memory of ever seeing Renly when he was on his, what is it she calls, like, his tour, his coming of age tour or something. His
ledger. Can you say it?
Leisurely Lord's Progress to mark his coming of age.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they held, like, a ball and everything, and she was forced to attend by her dad, even though she didn't want to. But Renly was real nice to her and danced with her, and because he danced with her, other people danced with her, and it was, like, a real nice thing he did.
Yeah.
So since that day, she wanted only to be close to Lord Renly, to serve him and protect him. Aww.
Okay, this is so sad here, because the thing is, like, so far we've only seen her from other people's perspectives, and, like, it's just sad to know, like, how much she was affected by her, like, people's comments about her appearance as well. And I just think, I was like, bro, what do you mean? She's like, I know I look freakish and ugly. I don't need to be reminded of it all the time. And I'm like, dude, come on. I just feel bad. This is what I mean. It was either her just traveling with these people who were...
But it is nice to see that Renly was nice to her, and that kind of explains her devotion to him to some degree, you know?
And it's nice that, like, she was able to be like, hey, like, you really helped me come out of my shell in that way, so now, like... Yeah. And now it's, like, she's able to take an action and, like, do something, you know? It's not, like, just, like, this, like, empty devotion. It's, like, she, like, really did something with it, too. Yeah. Yeah.
And it must have meant a lot to her, because, like, she was around 13, she says, at that time, and, like, that's a time where self-esteem and confidence are generally real low, so...
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I feel like she probably felt like a bit of an outsider, given her size and her looks and things, so, made sense. And then she's like, I didn't kill him. I swear it by my sword. And they're like, well, you're not a knight. So then she's like, I'll swear it by the 7. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay, fine. We'll believe you.
now you're good. Chill.
Yeah. So she takes the first watch and she's just hanging out. But then it's Sir Illifer's turn to take the watch. And she's like, I'm going to lie down here, but I can't sleep. And... it says she had never slept easily in the presence of men, which an unfortunate reality. But I am glad that she actually eventually fell asleep here.
Yeah.
But she talks about learning about the risk of rape as a lesson beneath the walls of Highgarden. And again, when she and Jaime had fallen into the hands of the brave companions. That one we know about.
Yeah.
So... she's sleeping on the cold, hard ground, which just sounds so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But she does sleep at least. And then, before she, like, drifts off, she's thinking about how in King's Landing she, like, tracked down one of Sansa's maids and learned that, like, Sansa and Tyrion didn't really get along real well, so maybe she was fleeing him as well.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, if it was that bad for her, then, like, I can get how that would have led her to poison Joffrey.
Yeah, she's like, maybe she did poison Joffrey. Like, it's possible. Yeah. So then she falls asleep and then wakes up in the morning, and they're getting ready to leave the campsite. And she's like, oh, did y'all see anybody on your watches? And apparently Sir Illifer didn't, but Sir Crichton saw, like some kid pass by on a horse, as well as half a dozen men with weapons, and his personality trait is that he's quite boastful. So he's like, I showed them the business end of my sword and they went their way.
Basically,
yeah. If you ask him, he basically single-handedly won the Battle of the Blackwater.
So true.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, let's be on our way. And they are on their way when eventually they hear people praying, and they come across this whole party of begging brothers, but then they call themselves the Sparrows, who are marching to the city to bring the bones of their dead to the city, and also to petition the king for protection and all that, right? And they call themselves the Sparrows because the sparrow is the humblest and most common of birds, as we are the humblest and most common of men, which I guess that's a good, nice sentiment. Yeah, so they're on their way, and they ask Brienne and everybody to join them. But they refuse. They're like, we got work to do. Sorry. We believe in the 7, but I mean, it's not Sunday, so I don't feel like going to church right now.
Basically, yeah.
And so they, once again, are on their way.
Yeah. Okay, question.
Yes.
So, like... Okay, so I was thinking, is this some, like, Melisandre-induced action going on? Like...
Which part?
Like, the whole... Or is it just, like, a general war thing? Because there's, like, a lot of specific mentions of, like, the Septons and, like, the, like, Septs in general being kind of destroyed. So I'm like, it's close enough that it could be, right? Like...
Okay, hang on. So are you saying, like, Melisandre potentially caused the destruction?
Not Melisandre, sorry, like the Red God and all that, because you know how now we've converted Dragonstone?
I think this is just regular war things.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we never hear about anything like this from any of the Red God people we know about. Okay. Like, because they did destroy the Sept and the things on Dragonstone, but it was done with the consent of Stannis, the Lord there, like, you know?
Right.
They haven't really had a chance to go around, like, ravaging other places. Like, you know, Stannis was at that battle, was beaten real bad, and then was licking his wounds when he got called up to the wall. Like,
right, yeah.
So they might pull something like that up north, but I don't think this is their action.
Okay.
And the other people we knew, the Red God, the Red Priest, Thoros of Myr and his people, I don't remember them, like, killing Septons and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think they're very,
like, they were like, we're for the Red God, but, like, it doesn't mean
they're more focused on protecting the common man than, like, converting people religiously. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Okay. I was just wondering, because I was like, I think I was just connecting too many dots. I was like, is this just war or are things going on, you know? Because I was like, we haven't heard about it, but maybe it's like a
I mean, we have heard about it. Like, literally, like, every army that goes through goes and
fucks up Duskendale
and every place ever. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And Brienne specifically remembers the brave companions, like, hanging a Septon and all of that, so...
Right. She's like, this isn't new. Moving on.
Yeah, exactly. There's been a lot of violence in this area.
Yeah.
So then, once again, they're on their way, and then once again, they come across a party going towards Duskendale, and it's a merchant and his people, as well as another hedge knight. The merchant is named... He had a very boring name, so I don't remember it. It doesn't matter. But the hedge knight he's employed for his protection is Sir Shadrich the Mad Mouse, he calls himself. His sigil is a large white mouse with fierce red eyes and bendy on bendy brown and blue.
All right, dude. His name was Hibbald.
Sure. I'll take your word for it because I don't remember. Yeah, so basically they come across these guys and the knights with Brienne are like, hey, you want me to join? Like, should we all join together? Because it's better with more people than fewer people. And they're like, you know what? At first they're suspicious of each other, but they're like, I think it's fine. Y'all seem harmless. Come along.
Yeah.
And so as they're once again on their way, this Sir Shadrich saddles up to Brienne and is like, so you're looking for your lost sister with blue eyes and auburn hair? Well, you're not the only one. I'm also looking for Sansa Stark.
Dun, dun, dun. And so, this is where we're like, maybe we don't need to be so descriptive and giving away all our what we're doing. Come on.
And also, didn't Sansa dye her hair?
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Right. Yeah, but like, it's an easy enough thing to do. Maybe like, I don't know. You're like, yeah, be more vague in descriptions. Just look out for any 13-year-old kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but basically, Shadrich seems to be after her because Varys, on behalf of, I assume, like, you know, the Lannisters and everyone, has offered a good plump bag of gold for Sansa. And Brienne tries to be like, oh, I don't know who that is. Why do you seek her? Like, you know, she tries to not give it away, but obviously it's obvious. It's hard, you know?
Yeah.
And he also, another important factor is that he also knows that Danto's disappearance is connected with this, which I feel like might be the more secret piece of information. Like, everybody kind of knows Sansa's general appearance, and anybody who wants the prize money can go after that, but he knows like some details.
Yeah.
So yeah, which like worries Brienne because she's like, who else might be looking for this girl? And
yeah, and
how horrible are they?
And stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then we get her thoughts about Danto's and how, yeah, he helped her flee, and so I just have to find him to find her.
Simple as that.
Exactly. So they arrive at this inn by the time it's night, and the inn's name is Old Stonebridge, named for the old Stonebridge next to it.
Wow.
And Sir Crichton knows this inn because his friend runs it. Like, friend in quotations, or I don't know, friendly acquaintance, I guess. Because apparently Sir Crichton owes this innkeeper money.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, it would be nice to stay in an inn, but we don't have money. So Brienne's like, I got you. I'll cover for you. You help me. It's fine. And so she's like kind of thinking back to when she found all the money that JV had set aside for her, and also this letter that he had obtained, commanding all loyal subjects of the king to assist the bearer, Brienne of House Tarth. And that's helpful and all, but what if you come across somebody who doesn't believe in his grace, Tommen?
But then you don't give them the letter.
I guess that's true. Yeah, because she's pretty much right now in Lannister-controlled land, so it's fine. Yeah. Unless she, like, runs into River Run or something, she can't be like, I have his seal, like, you know?
Because I don't think she's used it. Well, as far as we know, she hasn't used it yet either.
Right,
because it just hasn't been very useful. Like,
but
just
it's
no one knows.
An interesting piece of information.
It says it was signed in a childish hand by Tommen, and I just think that's so funny. He was like, hey, uncle. Hey, Tommen, can you sign this for me? Okay, uncle. Moves on.
Yeah.
Like, no way, but like, also, Cersei approved
I think
this.
we might have talked about this before, but it still makes no sense to me that they're getting him to sign anything, because he doesn't understand any of it. Just, like, assign a signer.
I know,
like, have the Queen Regent or the Hand or somebody. It doesn't matter. Okay. So she's
He probably enjoys it. He's like, wow, I'm so important.
Yeah, so she hands over her, horse to the saddle. No, not the saddle person, the
stable dude.
Stable person. Thank you. I just saw the word saddle and I couldn't remember anything else. So she goes in and there's like roast cooking and there's a few local people around who are eyeing them suspiciously. Mm-hmm. And the innkeep's like, okay, I guess I can give you room if you have money. And she's like, I do, it's fine. And they have dinner. There's not much to it. They're just hanging out,
Yeah.
And they're talking about, Jaime losing his hand. And there's some rumor that a wolf bit it off. But then Brienne's like, no, it was one of the sellswords. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, it sucks not being able to fight with your your dominant hand.
Yeah.
And Brienne thinks back to her fight with Jaime and how, it took everything she had. Yeah. And he was, weakened from imprisonment. So he's, previous to losing his hand, he was a real capable swordsman. Mm-hmm. And I like seeing this because we were in Jaime's head for that fight, and he was like, holy shit, I can barely keep up. And she's like, holy shit, I can barely keep up,
Totally. Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. And so after this, she's like, okay, I am gonna go upstairs. She goes to her room, settles in, and looks at her sword that she carries around that she bought to replace the one that she lost, which was Renly's sword, which I think I knew, but I didn't realize,
Yeah.
So that's sad.
Yeah.
But then she has the other sword, which is Oathkeeper, and it's all cool, and we just gotta it's like a recap of this is the sword.
Yeah, totally. And she's just kind of she's kind of doing the Bran thing where she's thinking back to her childhood, and she's like, oh my gosh, I remember all these really cool fighters and who had stories, they always had an accompanying sword, and now I have the sword. But then she gets all self-deprecating, and she's like, even if I don't have the even if I don't match the sword, but it's girl, you're getting there, you're good, you're doing your best, we're slaying.
Yeah. I don't want to say things, but I don't want to say too many things.
And she's like, you'll be defending Ned Stark's daughter with Ned Stark's own steel, Jaime had promised. And I'm just like, so slay. So slay.
I think, I'll say this, thing to keep an eye on, she, yes, there's that parallel with, Bran, but also I think there's a parallel with her and Sansa.
Yeah.
Sansa,
totally.
Romanticizes
devoting
things,
and devoting her entire life to someone who danced with her once. Respectfully.
And worshipping knight, she holds the knighthood title sacred, even if she is not a knight,
Totally. Yeah.
Just all of these things, kind of.
Definitely, yeah. And I think also with just people being so shitty to her all the time, it makes sense to kind of get in your head. With Sansa, it's kind of she's super pretty, so people have never been like, wow, you're ugly, but she's just kind of really fascinated by it. But I feel with Brienne, it might also just be a defense mechanism of sometimes you get so in your head when things are happening on the outside, and you're well, in my head, I'm Florian, so fuck you.
Right. So then she prays for the crone to lead and light her way and show her the path to Sansa. Mm-hmm. And she failed Renly, but she failed Catelyn. She does not want to fail Jaime. Mm-hmm. Aww. So she lays down on the bed for a while and hears everybody going to bed. And finally, when it's real quiet and everybody's for sure asleep, she gets up and sneaks out of the inn and takes off on her horse because she does not want to lose any time. Damn, and these people be slowing her down.
So true.
Yeah. So that is the chapter. Mm-hmm. Nice little slow getting to know you kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. we do, like, currently she's on the wrong path, so who knows, like, where it may end up.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll learn valuable things along the way, you know?
Totally, yeah. I have some thoughts.
Yes,
slightly.
please.
Okay. Like, about, like, prediction thoughts, sort of?
Yeah, just give me whatever thoughts.
Okay. So, obviously, right now, she's, like, heading off to Duskendale, right? Like, that was her plan. Nothing really happened to change her plan. So, I think for, like, maybe, like, her next chapter, what we'll probably get is, like, either her getting to Duskendale or, like, meeting more people along the way. And maybe, like, through those encounters, we hear, like, more sort of, like, gossip or, like, what's going on. Like, maybe we're like, Varys is missing! Tywin fucking died! Like, those sorts of things. And I just feel like she's going in the opposite direction. And yeah, like you said, she could get valuable information. But I just feel like there's gotta be more to it. I just don't see us just getting, like, a Brienne journey. Like, just, like, trekking. Do you know what I mean? I feel like at some point, like, we're gonna meet up with another character. Like, I just feel that.
Right.
And
like,
so
another
maybe,
major character, not, like, somebody new or whatever.
Yeah. Because I feel like maybe, so I have, like, some ideas. So maybe, like, something, like, maybe she hears something, like, what's it called? Maybe, like, she just hears shit about, like, what's going on at King's Landing. And, she's like, oh, I should try going that way. Or, like, something that brings her back the other way. Or maybe, so something that brings her back the other way. Or if she's gonna continue going, like, sort of, like, northeast, northward, maybe she ends up near, like, the Trident or something.
Right.
And then she can meet up with Lady Catelyn, or dead Catelyn. And, like, that can be a thing. So I feel like it's...
How okay, say that's a thing. What kind of a thing is it?
Maybe, because, you know, in her mind, she's failed Lady Catelyn, because she's like, well, half of the shit I can never even do. So maybe this is, like, her chance to, like, help Lady Catelyn lay down to rest. So it's kind of, like, full circle sort of thing. So maybe it's...
Like, lay her down to rest how? Like, kill her again?
Again. Oh, because she's already dead. I was like, she didn't kill her before. What do you mean? I
no.
Yeah, like, maybe, or, like, just kind of, like, yeah, like, kill her again, or, like, sort of stop them from continuing this, like, reviving her thing. Like, just some sort of, like, putting a stop to this bullshit. Like, you know? Because she's talking about, like, literally, because you know when she's talking about how, like, she's like, oh, Sansa couldn't have gone north, because, they have, Freys have Moat Cailin, so maybe she's hearing about, like, the Frey gossip and what's going on, and then she kind of is able to deal with that, because then it's also, like, a nice way to, like, build her other, like, non-fighting skills, you know, if needed. It's just, like, character development. I just really want her to meet up with someone, I think, so I'm manifesting these things, but I really do, I do see it happening, though, because, yeah, so maybe something like that, and I know we've only had one chapter, but I'm already getting all so tired of, like, every single time she meets someone, it's like, okay, sir, sorry, ma'am, wow, you're big for a girl.
You don't like the sir, my lady thing?
No, it's fine, I'm just kind of like, because then as soon as they realize she's a girl, they're like, oh, you're a girl, and I don't like that.
I mean... Yeah, but if he stopped doing that, then it wouldn't seem real.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying that he should stop doing it. I'm just saying I'm already getting tired of it.
Imagine her having to do
totally, yeah. And I'm just like, come on. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yep, being misgendered, no fun.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Well, but, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it all the same.
Okay, one more thought. Okay.
Okay.
I feel like today's theme is me reading too much into things.
Okay.
So, when they first run into, like, the merchant and then the hedge knight who's also looking for Sansa, like, someone who says, when Shadrich first starts talking to her, he's like, you're a strapping, healthy wench, I'd say, whatever. And then she instantly is like, Sir Jaime's mockery had cut her deep. The little man's words hardly touched her. I'm like, really? Like...
Well, I think it's kind of like the words of the people you care about hurt a little bit more than the words of people that you don't care about, you know?
Okay. So I'm not Delulu.
About what?
Because that's what I wanted to take it as, but then I was like, do I just ship them too much to have an objective take on this?
I think it's that, but also, like, he was...
really mean, consistently.
Mean to her before she even was like, oh, I kind of respect him, actually.
Right.
So... But also Jaime has,
or maybe it's just like
he was mean, but he had like a way with his meanness.
Yeah.
Like this is just like run of the mill mean. This is boring.
Right, true. She's like, he actually, when he did it, it meant something. This dude's just like, out here.
Like he was clever about it or something, you know?
Okay, that makes sense.
Like I think maybe a combo of both of those. I don't know.
Okay, slay. Because I was like,
or maybe it's just her like developing like a thicker skin. Like she was like, I let Jaime harass me for a while. Now I won't let people's words affect me because
so true.
I don't know.
So true, know? Queen. You get that.
Anything
big.
Else?
Let me think. Okay, just one more sad moment I'd like to point out.
Okay.
Okay. When she, like, first wakes up, her, like, fucking first thought, like, she's like, oh, shit, like, it's fucking cold. And then she's like, wow, these dudes are, like, you know, they're hedge knights.
Actually decent.
They're, like, actually decent. Like, wow, there's still decent men in the world. And that was so real. That was so real. Like, sometimes you just...
But that's, like, a good thought, right?
I know, but, like, still depressing that she has to think that.
I know.
It's just, like, I feel like so many times going through life, sometimes I'll just have, like, a nice conversation with a guy. Like, just, like, it'll be, like, a simple, like, it'll be, like, a normal conversation, and I'll just leave it, and I'm just, like, and I'm, like, I find myself giving him much more credit than he deserves. Like, sometimes I'll, like, have a conversation
just
with
for doing the bare minimum because everybody else is so bad.
Literally, because, for example, sometimes, like, I have, like, you'll have conversation, like, you know, you're just, like,
stop talking to the skies. Talk to me.
Wait, I don't know why I'm talking to the sky. I got distracted by my roof. Okay, because sometimes, just, guys are just generally worse and, like, not socialized to, like, do small talk or, like, be very pleasant in general, basically. So sometimes you'll just, like, leave a positive interaction with a guy and you'll be like, wow, he has, like, good social skills. And then I'm thinking, and I'm like, that's the bare minimum?
It was the basic.
Like, why am I leaving an interaction being like, wow, this is, like, just...
Yeah,
you know?
Brienne's like, wow, they didn't rape or rob me or murder me.
Like, right? And I'm like, and then I tried to, like, give some more credit to it, and I was like, maybe she's thinking about how they, like, offered food and all that, but the fact that it was immediately after is giving, like, wow, I'm okay. Clearly they're, like, and I just was like, wow, this is so real. Like, go off,
and
Brienne.
it's not even, like, real confined to A Song of Ice and Fire world type of real. It's
just
real.
It's just real. Yeah, anyway, that was my last depressing thought of the day.
Cool. Okay. Say that's everything?
Yes, that is everything.
I have questions. I think you already predicted where, like, her story might go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything I can say that won't, like, either lead you on or expect you to know things that you possibly can't know. So, like, yeah, let's move on to next chapters then.
Oh my god, okay.
All right, we're reading 2 chapters next time. Chapters 5 and 6. Give me your hopes and predictions.
Okay, I would like to see Tyrion.
Mm-hmm.
And Dany.
Okay, well, neither of those, but I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Okay.
Chapter 5 is Samwell.
Ooh.
Tarly.
Okay, Sam. Okay.
Last time we see him, he was scheming to make Jon Lord Commander, in which he succeeded.
Yes. Okay, so maybe he's getting offered like he's gonna be. Remember when I was like, he's gonna be Jon's assistant?
Oh, right.
So maybe we're seeing. Maybe he has to make a choice between being Jon's assistant and being Maester Aemon's like. I mean, he's already
successor.
He's already kind of successor protege vibes, but like maybe further, like more so. He has to like choose one.
Yeah, there's also Stannis drama going up on up at the wall.
So maybe he's like, maybe we should do this, and Stannis is like, who the fuck are you? So maybe a little bit of that. We get to know what's going on, what changes have been made. Maybe he'll start the chapter off and it'll be like, it's been 10 days since Jon was elected and he's done no fucking shit. Let's reverse this election. Like, we don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Hashtag regret.
Yeah, literally.
Okay. Well, okay. I think that's good. So, chapter 6 is Arya.
Yay! Okay. Arya is, where is she?
She got on a boat. She said, Valar Morghulis.
Wait! I forgot how exciting this was. Oh, we're gonna meet Jaqen again. We're gonna see Jaqen again, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
I think the last time, you said she was gonna end up in Old Town, because that's where Jaqen was last known to be.
They're gonna meet up in Old Town, and then she's gonna meet some Old Town. She's gonna network in Old Town, and then go off to Ashai.
And then go off to where?
Ashai.
Ashai? Why Ashai?
Isn't he from Ashai? Where is he from?
I don't know. I don't think we know.
No, he said, where's the place the coin is from again?
Bravos.
Oh, JK, I meant to say Bravos. Not Ashai. They're gonna go to Bravos.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Is that everything? Oh my god, that's everything. Okay. It's just unusual for us to not hit 3 hours by this point.
Yeah, we've had a couple long ones with like the ending of a book and like the starting of the book being really intense.
Yeah. Well, this is nice. So, everyone, join the Discord and send us an email. Our email is popculturesymposium@gmail.com. And of course, follow us on Instagram at popculturesymposium.
Join the Discord. That's everything.
I already said that.
Oh, oops.
That was literally the first thing I said. Why were you nodding your head along if you didn't hear me?
No, I heard you, but usually you say it at the end, so I was like, so then I forgot by the time we got to the end. It's fine.
Wow.
I have short-term memory
Talk about
loss.
short-term memory, yeah.
It's okay. Anyway, it's worth saying again is where we should have left it.
Okay, all right. Anyway, yes, the people on Discord are real nice and we love them.
We love talking.
And I mean, we actually do. I don't know why I said it that weird. Like, I didn't actually. I feel like it sounded sarcastic, but I was not being sarcastic. I was just thinking back to some of the conversations. I think Emily from Game of Thrones just earlier today shared this like Twitter thread, I think is what it's called, or I don't know, is it called an X thread now? I don't know what they're called. Basically somebody was like, oh, Taylor Swift be like releasing 31 songs in 1 year and George R. R. Martin can't even write a book. And they were like, somebody commented like, oh, she sings about teen angst, this isn't that. And then somebody else was like, no, it's medieval teen angst, which it really is.
So true. So true.
Okay, that's the summary of that tweet. So I'm gonna stop now. I don't know why I'm summarizing.
No, that was a cool little not flashback, cool little nugget into Discord. So y'all better join right now. And please send us emails. I love emails.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make Harmith read more of them from now on. That I've like discovered that's a thing I can do.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, people. Lovely, lovely people. Y'all are so slay.
Until next time, farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.